Hi, it's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 242. We're talking about cold extremities and the senses, and today we are talking about day 5 and the sense of touch. How does the sense of touch contribute to the coldness in extremities? And how can you use the sense of touch to obviously heat them up? All right, let's start with the basics. Take a deep breath in and release. If you're new to this, our next breath is going to be a really, really expansive breath. I want you to breathe in. You're going to expand in the belly. You're going to expand in the chest. Kind of just imagine it filling up, and then expand in the senses. Like imagine your sinuses and your head expanding. And when you do that, there's going to be a little bit of a kickback or a little bit of a release in the sacrum and in the pelvis, and that's supposed to happen. That is a release of because of the pressure from having breathed in as fully as you did. All right, so let's go ahead and take this really huge deep breath in and release. And now we're talking about the sense of touch. So I would like you to breathe into the last time you needed to pull something out of the freezer. And imagine having your hands stuck in the freezer to grab something from there. Take a deep breath in and release. Now, for many of you, tucking into the deep freeze is not much of a big deal. It's just reaching in, grabbing something, and bringing it back out. But for those of us who are prone to cold extremities and a little bit of Raynaud's phenomenon or Raynaud's syndrome, we end up reaching in, and as soon as we touch that ice cold food, there's an immediate shift in how our fingers work. They immediately clamp down and say, nope, not gonna do it. And that can happen when we drink a shake, when we have an icy pop, when our hands are around cold things, and especially when our hands are around cold things and we're eating. So really cold shake, that's going to do it all the time. But the deep freeze is amazing because the temperature of food in a deep freeze is 0 or lower. And so reaching into 0 degrees to pull something out or having to be in there for a long period of time really does, for those of us who have cold extremities, send our system into that, let's suck all the blood out of those hands and feet and put it inside the core, save it. And I can tell you that my body has gotten better at recovering from reaching into the deep freeze, but it is still not a fun activity. So we know our goal, of course, is energy to reduce or to warm up our extremities, reduce cold extremities, equals good energy and minus stressors. And we know that cold is a stressor. So for those of us who do get cold extremities, being out in the cold, having cold air. So right now it is 36 degrees out. I checked before I came outside. It feels like it is 30 degrees. The exposure of cold onto those of us who have cold extremities, the exposure of cold onto our fingers actually causes us to run and hide. Causes us to start pulling the blood out of those fingers. You can see I usually have one tucked underneath the knee. Causes the body to pull that blood right out of the extremities and suck it into the core, just as a precaution. So we know that that is a stressor for many of us. So how do we use the sense of touch to bring good energy in? Now, clearly, one of the first things that we can do is we can obviously wear layers. So if I were wearing gloves, you wouldn't see me with one hand tucked underneath my knee and the other hand out. You would see both of them in gloves, and you'd see them moving out and about like they normally do. But if you are, you can also use other things. So layers, gloves, warmth. You can have a warm cup of coffee, you can have a warm cup of hot chocolate, you can have a warm cup of tea. A cuppa anything and holding on to it will still keep your nervous system calm enough to keep blood going out to those extremities. Interestingly, when we talk about the sense of touch, hugs, snuggles, really good way of relaxing the nervous system and putting that blood back out to the hands and feet. The other things you can think about are warm baths. I used to have a vibrating foot massager that with the vibration would also work as a way of increasing blood flow to my fingers and feet. So vibration, remember, is one of those senses of touch that we have. Cold, heat, vibration, pressure, and pain. Those are all things that can be sensed through the touch sense. So applying heat definitely is going to relax the nervous system and warm it when our response for cold extremities is to shut down. Vibration is going to do the same thing. You just have to be a little bit more, you have to be careful. So you can't vibrate and cold. For any of you who have held on to the railing of a snowblower, know that it doesn't matter if it's vibrating and cold, your fingers are still going to say, nope, no blood. Sorry. So vibration can be used, but it more likely would be better to be used up in the shoulders or up in the legs to kind of get blood to keep flowing through the rest of the body. And then pressure, we talked about hugs. Pressure is a good one too, but just remember that just as you can cross your legs and cut off the blood flow to your foot and end up with a foot that's asleep, you can do the same thing and result in cold extremities. So pressure being more, I'm going to push on my extremities to kind of encourage blood flow down into the rest of me. Less of pressure calming the nervous system. All right, so we have 2 senses left, and they're the biggies. We have the vestibular sense and we have the kinesthetic sense. So how can we use vestibular energy? How can we use kinesthetic energy to change our energy to have warm hands or energy to reduce cold extremities? Join me here tomorrow and Sunday to find out. All right, have a wonderful weekend, have a safe weekend, and I'll see you here tomorrow if you're going to be here. Take a deep breath in and release. Take care.